welcome into another long distance Devils. I've got my man
Oh,
Paul Hornstein on board. And Paul, first, welcome in.
thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Week 3 for us, and nothing happened this past weekend, so I was thinking maybe we didn't even need to talk. But
All right, we'll skip it.
so, so what do you think? Okay, this team is for real. Are people starting to realize that this team is for real? I'm talking about the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Um, it would seem to be if you looked at the national websites and the national podcasts and things of that nature. ASU's right up front with their win this weekend.
You know, when the poll came out today, the USCHO poll, they finished with 85 votes, which actually put them in 21st place. There was nobody else that wasn't ranked that was ahead of them in vote getting. So that tells me they're real close. Wisconsin took it on the chin at North Dakota and got swept, and they're number 20. So anything can happen. But let's recap the weekend. What were your thoughts from what you saw at Penn State?
What I saw was a team that is ready to compete. I don't know how much they'll win, but they will definitely compete with any of the teams that they have on their schedule. I mean, they're not playing Duluth, or they might, depending on what happens in the Desert Classic.
unless Duluth gets knocked off by Minnesota State.
Well, which is possible because Minnesota State is playing very well right now.
Yeah, they are.
They have a chance too. I mean, either one of those matchups will be a tough matchup. But this weekend was a very big weekend. Obviously, Coach Powers called it the signature win so far in the first 4 years. What I thought was, especially coming off the Friday night game where they gave up those 3 quick goals, was let's see if this team can learn how to win because they're still a very young team.
Right. Absolutely.
And they had a chance to sweep this weekend. I didn't think that was even going to be a realistic possibility, to be honest with you. I know you called it earlier in the week, but I didn't think that was even a realistic possibility. And honestly, the more I sat back and thought about Friday night's game, they should have won that one too.
Yeah, they should have. They absolutely should have. They came in with a 4-3 lead, right? And then gave up those 3 and ended up losing the thing 6-5. And they made a valiant effort, I should say, at the very end to try to get that tying goal and send that one to overtime as well.
I would say that was probably in the defensive zone, probably their poorest game of the year.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much the absence of Anthony Croston, and we know why he was out. He was at a friend's funeral, and no one will ever knock him for that, nor should they. But I saw a couple of times where guys were left open in the slot that they shouldn't have been, and I just started to wonder how much was his presence missed, not only in the defensive zone, but also in the locker room and also on the bench when the things started to go crazy.
Yeah, I think that was definitely something that was missing because he has a calming effect between him and Dylan Holman. I mean, I just can't say enough about those. I'm hoping to get Dylan on the show tomorrow just to visit with him because he is an unsung hero. That's a definition of an unsung hero, if you ask me.
And I think if you were also watching those games, we know who the team's best player is, and that's number 35.
Right.
And I think if you asked him and he was honest, he would say that Friday night was not his best game.
Right. Yeah.
If you look at him Friday night and Saturday night, they were 2 completely different players. He had much more things under control. He was locked in. He was much more solid on Saturday night. And I think those factors were a reason why that team had a bad night on Friday night because, let's face it, they can score.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can score with the best of them. And a lot of it's got to do also with the team they played. I mean, Penn State is no slouch. They could have very easily been higher ranked than number 6 coming in this weekend with the talent they have. It was just so early. But when you see what's happened around the polls, I mean, other than Minnesota Duluth and Minnesota State, it's kind of up and down, up and down, up and down, right? I mean, people are moving all over the place.
Yeah, they really are. Nobody has come up so far and really established themselves outside of those teams, and St. Cloud as well has gotten off to a very, very good start. I don't think they have a loss yet either. No, they do. They have one loss. They're 7-1, and their schedule hasn't been cream puffs either. So everybody else has kind of been up and down.
Yeah, exactly. And Minnesota got swept by Minnesota State, and I saw Minnesota last weekend, and I told you then, I said, I don't think that Minnesota was that good. I don't know if it's just having a hard time adjusting or if they're just down. But anytime you get a new coaching staff coming in, you know it's going to take some time. But I think they might be just down a little bit too, talent-wise, from what they're used to. We'll see.
I'm sorry. And Minnesota State's pretty good.
Yeah, they are very good, and we'll see them at Christmas time. At least we'll get to see them play somebody for a couple of games. So that'll be a lot of fun. But let's talk a little bit about Johnny Walker. I mean, I sent out my Hobey Baker, Johnny for Hobey, and everybody was laughing at me. And
I'm still laughing.
I sent my picture to Mitch Terrell, the sports information director, and I said, Mitch, is it too early to put this out? He goes, hold on. You know, this is like on Thursday. He said, hold on, or don't get ahead of yourself. And then I said, okay. And then Friday, you know what happened Friday? They lost. And then I said, well, they're going to come back. And then when he gets 2 goals and the game winner on a breakaway, I sent a text out and I put in parentheses, sorry, Mitch, couldn't wait any longer. But, I mean, come on. The guy scored 11 goals in 10 games. I don't care who you're playing against, but he's played against Penn State. He's played against Ohio State. It's not cream puffs that he's doing this against. And he's not just doing them at home. He's doing them on the road. He's doing them everywhere. I mean, the kid's got, 17 points now already?
Well, that's what I was about to say. He doesn't just have the 11 goals. He's got 6 assists, too.
Yeah. And when you look down on the charts and you look at anybody else, and I know some of the teams haven't played a lot of games yet, but you know, he's done what he's been asked to do. He's been on a goal a game, a little better than a goal a game pace, and he's got 11 goals. Nobody else has got 6. 6, I think, is the highest for anybody else in the country.
Hey, you know, you said at the beginning of the year 30. I'm still gonna wait. Because I can't say 30 yet, because to keep up a goal a game pace at is just hard to do. It just is.
Well, I don't know if you saw the tweet that I sent out this weekend that had the attachment to Ryan Duncan at North Dakota when he won the Hobey Baker.
Right.
It was from ESPN. And I remember that same comment going on. I had a conversation with Ryan back then, and I'm going to dig out my quotes on that here over the next week or so if I can get through my old hard drive. But Ryan told me the same thing. He goes, everybody told me I was too small. My dad put me out to hockey and let me play, and then it was hard for me to get a scholarship. I finally got in at North Dakota, and people said, you're too small. You're not going to do anything. And all he did was score goals. And Johnny Walker is not small by any stretch. All right, we're back. Long Distance Devils. I've got Paul Ornstein still with me. Sorry, a little technical difficulties there with Skype. Anything we're doing long distance, you just never know what's going to happen. But we're talking about Johnny Walker and the success that he's having right now. And, you know, everybody said, oh, it's too early. But it's 10 games into the season, right? I mean, that's a third of the way.
It's a third of the way in.
So you got to look at what he's doing and saying that, at the very least, the kid's got a lot of skill.
Well, it's funny because somebody passed along a Twitter post to me this afternoon, and somebody was saying, wow, he's only got all these goals on the power play. And my response was, doesn't power play goals count?
Right.
Do they not put those up on the scoreboard?
Right.
Are they just to be ignored?
Right.
That makes to say that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever at all.
And I'll get back to my story with Ryan Duncan, but he was the same way. He had Jonathan Toews and TJ Oshie on his line. Was that a fair advantage? You know, he got a lot of stuff too, but somebody's still got to finish it. You know what I mean? That I don't care if it's power play, shorthanded, regular, 5-on-5. you have to finish the goals, and that's what Johnny's doing this year. And I think I told you that this summer. When he came back from Columbus, he was a different goal scorer. His feet moved differently. His release was differently. He was hitting the net differently. And now you add Koeman-Gries, and all of a sudden you've got somebody that can get him the puck along with Tyler Bush and Brinson and Gruber. I mean, they're just clicking.
And they clearly are a much better offensive team this year than they have been in the past. And that is clearly noticeable. But they're also, once again, much faster than they have been in the past. And on Saturday night, they still pretty much skated with Penn State for most of the game. Penn State obviously had their stretches once again in the third period. But the biggest thing about that third period is even though Penn State put on a lot of pressure, they held on, got to overtime, made a play.
Absolutely. And, I mean, it's tough to play in Penn State. It's tough to play on the road in college hockey anywhere, but Penn State's got a good building with a good home ice advantage. They hadn't lost there. They hadn't lost on the season. So, I mean, to go in there and do what they did, I think took some notice. But now I want to talk a little bit about the first half of the season. Like I told Coach Powers last year, I said, to get into the tournament as a independent, you got to first of all get to that 20-win mark, right?
At least.
We got 7 right now, right? I'm looking at the schedule and I'm going like, how close or how many more wins can they get between now and the Desert Classic in December? And when you go through it, I think there's a minimum of 5 more wins there. That's they're going to split, and they're going to get one sweep somewhere.
I'm going to pull up the schedule right now because I keep it ready to go on my phone. They got Michigan State coming up this week, and I don't really know how Michigan State is. They're probably good.
They're sweepable.
But I haven't really seen any of their games yet, like I have seen from some of the other teams. And they're in the top 10 in the pairwise, just like ASU, but they're also not ranked. So, of course, BU and BC got votes this week, and they only have 2 wins between them. So, and I don't know, I don't want to sit here and say that the guys who voted for them to spite ASU, because I don't know whether ASU was on their ballots or not. But if you're putting them in the top 20 when they have 2 wins between them, that's ridiculous. That's you should be embarrassed that you have put those names in on a poll. Maybe they are trying to deal with reputation, but that's embarrassing. You can't be putting them in a spot where that they're give 17 vote points. Yeah. They got 17 poll points. Was it BU or BC? Not that it matters.
Yeah.
It was BU.
Yeah.
They have 1 win.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're in the meat of their Hockey East schedule. So ASU has Michigan State at home in these next weekend. Then their next 6 games are at Harvard, at UNO, and at Princeton. That is going to be a very tough stretch because all those games are on the road. But if they can pull out 4 wins in those 6 road games, and Princeton's only played a couple of games and Harvard's only played a couple of games because the Ivy League starts a little bit later than everybody else.
Yep.
But then the 4 games after that, 2 games at home against Colorado College, and then the Desert Classic. So we'll know by the end of the year whether this team has a legitimate shot at 20 wins. And with the schedule they play to get to 20 wins, maybe they don't get in, but they have to be in the conversation.
Right, exactly.
They would have to be in the conversation.
As I go through it, I don't know if they can continue to sweep teams, but I think they can. I think they can sweep Michigan State, especially on the high that they're on right now. Again, knock on wood that we're staying healthy. That's number 1. And I think they can get 4 out of those 6 on the road. So if you get that 6 wins, right? You got 7 right now. That gives you 13. I said they'd be somewhere between 12 and 15 by the time the Desert Classic hits. Okay, so Colorado College is not overwhelming this season, and I think the confidence just keeps brewing. These guys just don't believe they can lose.
Well, somebody said to me they were a little nervous about the Michigan State games this weekend, especially if they got into the rankings. I think the fact that they just missed,
Right.
I don't want to say it's bulletin board material, but it might be like that extra kick in the pants if you were worried as a coach that they're going to come back too high off the win at Penn State. So I think that might have just worked out in Coach Power's favor, just missing that top 20.
Yeah, I think maybe throughout the locker room. I mean, I know when I talk to Coach tomorrow, he's going to tell me the same thing. Oh, we don't care about that. Just like he told me the same thing when I asked him about Johnny. He said that's for you guys to debate. I don't know. I just know he's a good player. Can he win it? Of course he can win it, but is he going to win it? I don't know. But see, here's the thing with and I'm reverting back to the Hobie Baker thing again. It's like that's a huge. What Johnny's doing is putting ASU on the map. By himself, and the team is doing it with the wins, but he's getting some recognition from SportsCenter, from Buchagras, from all these people out there that are following hockey now, because they're going like, how is this guy doing it? And when they start to focus on him, then that brings ASU into the light of things. So,
right.
It was a big win for the football team last Saturday, but it was even a bigger win for the hockey team, in my estimation.
Well, here's the way you have to look at certain things. Teams focusing on one player opens things up for everybody else.
Right.
On the ice.
Yep.
And a goal scorer is a goal scorer. Yeah. You cannot teach hands.
No.
You either have them or you don't. You can work on skating. You can work on training and conditioning. And you can work on positioning. What you can't work on is hands. You either have them or you don't.
And speaking of that, was there any doubt in your mind that he was not going to score in that breakaway?
I mean, honestly, it happened so fast. It happened so.
I was saying he's scoring, and his release was so fast. I don't think the goaltender's seen it yet, even on replay.
Well, I know when I saw him kick the puck up to his stick, which was the first thing I noticed, because the puck was passed from Tyler Bush into his skates, which from his knees, by the way. So
right.
let's give Tyler Bush a little bit of credit here too.
Absolutely.
When Johnny kicked the puck up to his stick, at that point I was just kind of holding my breath. I'm like, could it be? Could it be?
Right.
And then I'm watching him row across the ice, and I don't know if I wanted to laugh or be like, what? What did he do? What? And and by the way, that's made all the feeds and all the highlight reels in and of itself. So once again, the recognition when you win a big game like that at a place like Penn State, people take notice. And
I'll use the words of his father, Jeff Walker. He said that's just purely Johnny being Johnny. Did I tell you? And I'll do this for the public as well, but when I was getting him for the interview for College Hockey Southwest Weekly last week, he got back in the locker room, and he probably didn't want me to tell this, but I'm telling it anyway. So, Johnny, take that.
Well, it's not like Johnny talks too much.
And I go back to find Mitch Terrell, and I said, Mitch, where's Johnny? And he goes, oh, didn't he come and see you? And I go, no. And he said, oh, I'll go grab him. He came in the locker room, and Johnny was chewing on a donut, and he said, "Oh, the donuts distracted me. Otherwise, I would have been gone by now. I'm sorry, I forgot all about our interview." So he came in chewing on a donut, and I said, "Oh my God, we got an endorsement deal." And Mitch Terrell said, "Oh, please don't go there with him. No, don't even talk about that." But I was saved by a donut, and. Donuts are the big thing down here in the Southwest because Marc-Andre Fleury just got everybody that had a ticket to the other night's game donuts for a shutout from Krispy Kreme. So put that into your head for a minute. 18,300 and some fans all had tickets to get a dozen free Krispy Kreme donuts thanks to a shutout by Marc-Andre Fleury.
Listen, you'll have to excuse me. When I think donuts, I think Jim Schoenfeld, and I'll just tell people to go YouTube that, and we'll just go from there.
Exactly. Speaking of that, I saw his son Nate was in goal for the alumni team in Tucson last Saturday night. So that was a lot of fun too. But that's not the college hockey beat. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it's okay.
let's talk back about getting ready for Michigan State. We don't really know what to expect out of them, except they're a Big Ten school that has a lot of competition within their own conference, right? I mean, when you got
Right.
Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Minnesota, and Wisconsin. I mean, every weekend for them is also a tough schedule.
Well, at some point, I think at the beginning of the year, 6 of those 7 teams were in the poll. I don't remember if that was preseason or the first couple of weeks, and I think it was Wisconsin that was the team that wasn't in the poll.
Right.
I could be wrong. It might have been Michigan State, but either way, you're talking about a conference that is trying to challenge the NCHC for college hockey supremacy right now. 3 teams in the Frozen Four last year. So any team that comes out of that league right now is going to be a big time team, and they need to step up and keep pressing and keep playing their game and keep skating and stay out of the box.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a shot at a prediction here. I called a sweep and didn't get it. Andrew Bell sat in with me last week as my guest host, and he told me that it was going to be a split. He was right on the mark. What's your thoughts? ASU, Michigan State at Oceanside Ice Arena.
It's hard for me to say, not having really seen Michigan State, and I hate being in the prediction business because
go with your gut.
Go with my gut.
Yep. Not your heart.
I'll just say Herm Edwards and the Miracle at the Meadowlands. So you asking me to go with my gut, and my gut always tells me to expect disaster. So I don't think I want to do that. So I'm if you're going to push me, I think they need to sweep. How about that? I think they need to sweep games at home. They have that 10-game stretch, including the Desert Classic, or excuse me, 8-game stretch. No, it would be 10 games because you got the 2 games against Colorado College. That's a big 10-game stretch, and the more wins you can pile up now, the better off you're going to be. So I would say they need to sweep. I don't want to predict a sweep.
I hear you. Well, I don't know if we'll see any lineup changes. I kind of have my doubts because Coach Powers is gone with, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if he goes with that theory, we'll find out more tomorrow. But Paul, thanks again for tuning in. I know this is another late night for you, but we appreciate the time change. It's better for me. I gave an hour on you.
Yeah, that's okay. Just a couple of quick notes that are not ASU related. Jeff Jackson at Notre Dame won his 300th game as a college coach this week, and Bob Gaudet at Dartmouth won his 400th game as a college coach this week. And when you get 300 wins or 400 wins as a college coach, when you're only playing 30 games a year or 35 games a year, that's something that needs to be recognized.
Absolutely. I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm sure our viewers do as well. So
hopefully we'll come back next week after 2 wins and go on to Omaha or Princeton. I don't even have the schedule in front of me anymore. I'm got my ticket, hoping to see a win at Princeton. So we'll be ready to go, and just keep on keeping on. Go to 20 wins and take your chances.
Now, next week, I want to see in the background there, I want to see a little 8.5 by 11 of my poster of Johnny. It says Johnny for Hobie.
I got 8 by. I'll try to print that out. I'll see what I can do. That might be beyond my technical capabilities, but we'll give it a shot.
We're putting that out everywhere until somebody stops him. I'm not going to stop. So, like I said, it's great for ASU. It's great for hockey in the Desert Southwest. So whether he ever achieves that goal or not isn't the point at this point. The point of it is to get some recognition and let people know that there's some really good hockey being played down here.
Who do we talk to about getting ballots?
Yeah, so there we go. That's what we need to do.
We'll see you next week.
What we can do right now is keep the hashtag rolling.
That's it. We will see you next week.
All right, Paul. Have a good evening. Have a good week.